student here at Trinity, and what I mentioned, everyone should
So hi, I'm Joe. I'm a student at Jesus College, Cambridge, doing engineering.
I'm Kieran, I'm a student here at Trinity as well, and I'm doing engineering.
I'm Denisha, I'm a student at Clare College and I'm doing education with English.
I'm Danny, I'm a second year, I study politics at Magdalen College.
I'm David, some of you may have seen me in the market. I study architecture at Jesus College.
Okay, so we're all here to kind of talk about how our experiences are at Cambridge and how we feel as students being non-white in this environment, really. Now, I'm here because I'm part of the African Caribbean Society, I'm a welfare officer, and I'm here kind of on behalf of Access doing this talk. So I just kind of want to talk about like my background. I'm from Manchester. I'm from Marseille. My dad is from Jamaica. I went to a state school. I didn't get private education. I'm from a class background, and I think that it's really important that if you have support from your family, even if you don't have support from your school, if you feel that, or as parents, if you feel that your child has the ability to come to an institution like this or go to university, that they can. It doesn't have the same restrictions that it used to have. There are more opportunities with access, with different education opportunities. Even if your school doesn't support you, and most schools do, now we're getting better at this, but you can do it. Being a student here, I think it is, being a pull here, it can be difficult because it's not as diverse as it should be, but I think with coming years we need to make this change. We need to have people from different backgrounds, whether it's socio-economic or it's racial backgrounds. We need to have these changes. I'm a history student and obviously I'm first year. I really enjoy it here, I love my course, and there are more movements within the university to change the things that we study, so making things less, for example, history is being less centric on European history, and you can now do options in world history, which I'm going to take next year, so I'll be able to study my own history, which is really important. There's lots of societies here, for example, African Caribbean Society, I mentioned, different societies of different cultural backgrounds that make Cambridge somewhere that you feel it can really belong. I think that this is an institution that should be available and can be available to everyone, and I think it's really important that if you feel you have the potential to, then you should apply, because you definitely can do it. It's not as limited as it used to be.
I guess, yeah, my background is, so I grew up in Belgium. Both my parents are from Nigeria, Lagos. Moved to the UK when I was about 10, and so being kind of double immigrant to, like in a black family, there are certain things you hear about Cambridge just from living in the UK that kind of makes you feel like it's not for you for whatever reason. I'm sure you've all heard like rumours and various things about Cambridge. Now, although Cambridge is not the most diverse place, as you've mentioned, a lot of those rumours are exaggerated. Like this is still a place that's open to everyone. It's open to you guys when you get to apply to university, and it's genuinely like. So I'm involved here, and I can genuinely say like, as much as I've had certain experiences to do with sort of race and ethnicity, which I might not have had back home, I still think, in spite of that, it was a good decision to come here, and I'm glad I'm here. So yeah, definitely say like, honestly, consider it. It's not as impossible as people make it out to be, and yeah, hopefully when you apply, like, pick engineering, it's a great subject.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's not kind of a lot left to say that hasn't been said in the last step, but I came from a kind of, I haven't been to any private schools, and I've kind of paid for education, and yeah, despite all of that, I kind of decided that I wanted to come to Cambridge on my own. I thought, why not apply? I knew it wasn't going to be very diverse, but that shouldn't deter you from applying, because this kind of fear of applying that stops it becoming more diverse. And yeah, so there's loads of initiatives, loads of societies that help to kind of promote diversity. So African Caribbean Society, one of the most active societies in Cambridge, especially for racial groups. And I think every college by now has a BME officer so that's a student who kind of encourages that there's no racial or kind of ethnic, no issues that people are facing because of their racial or cultural background, and they kind of support black students and people from other ethnic minorities. So there's a lot universities trying to do to encourage diversity in their applications. It's just kind of now you need to be more willing to apply to help make it more diverse and make it a better place, a better environment to be in.
Yeah, so I'm Tanisha. I was the first person in my family to finish school for GCSEs, and then the first person to go to university. I went to various state schools as well. I applied to Cambridge on the off chance, actually thinking I wasn't going to get in. And then I'm so glad I did, because it's just there's so many opportunities that I don't think I would have got in other places, and for free as well a lot of the time, especially with societies. And there's quite a nice opportunity to have your voice heard, because I feel like the student population gives you a really good chance to actually voice your issues. So, for example, on my course, I also study English as part of education. And on my course straight away, we were looking at Caribbean literature, poetry, history of the Caribbean. We were looking at everything kind of in the conditions that they were made in, and not just kind of focusing on typically white, historical, middle class things. They very much want your voice to be heard, and if there's a space for it, especially on my course, if there's a problem, we have representatives within our course where you can be well, actually, I feel like we really need to, cover more of this, or we need to cover more of that. And I feel like with universities in general, a lot of universities, when there's big gatherings of students, you have enough people to have your voice heard. And I feel like the more diverse it becomes, the more voices will be heard, hopefully. And yeah, it's quite a nice environment in terms of that. Also with access, BME campaigns.
Go there, and I'm a part of that community as we speak. But me coming here, I also went to state schools like everyone else. But I think the way people talk about state schools can sometimes be misleading, because there's grammar schools. And for some of you who might be going into secondary education soon, or if you have children going to secondary education in a year or two or whatever, there are better opportunities, essentially. There's something my parents didn't know. There's something I missed out on. So you don't have to pay for school still. There are ways to make it, even if you go to a comprehensive state school, you can make it to Cambridge, because that's what I did. There are better opportunities. The difference is kind of being aware of those opportunities, taking advantage of them, especially if you're from Tottenham, from a disadvantaged background, like I was from. But I guess, other than what everyone else has said, what I want to emphasise is that there are opportunities that you can take advantage of. Mainly the grammar school. Those schools are selective. Those schools tend to perform much better, sometimes better than private schools. And those schools are dispersed all around North East London for you guys to join and be a part of completely for free. That's something to bear in mind. Another thing for me was, I guess at a very, very young age, was being aware that Cambridge was even a possibility, which it absolutely is, and that's what they've been saying. But it's not, the most important thing is to bear in mind it's not far away at all. I mean, for example, there's a train that goes literally from Tottenham Station straight to Cambridge. It's an hour, so literally the distance isn't that much, but also kind of as far as achieving the grades and going through that to get here, it's also very possible. It's not as difficult as imagined, and those things are very important to bear in mind, because a lot of people want to make it out to seem that that it's impossible to get here, and that if there is a way to get here, there's only a certain way to get here. On the other hand, people also want to tell you that it's very easy to get here, or that everyone can do it, and that's not necessarily the truth either. But everyone has the potential to do it. If you're aware of what's around you, if you take advantage of opportunities that are given to you, like being here, like anything that the school has to offer, anything that your local council has to offer, I'd really recommend taking those advantages. As far as what I study politics and sociology. A lot of what I study literally right now is about race, about different parts of, I did a project on different parts of London, especially Tottenham and Walthamstow, and how real estate prices and that market has gone up and down and stuff. That's a bit irrelevant. The point though is that even my studies is still about Tottenham and where I'm from. Because being at Cambridge, the good thing about studying here is you have the ability to kind of also center what you study on about what you know, center that around what you want it to be. And if I want it to be, you know, where I'm from, then I could do that. So definitely apply for subjects that you enjoy, you know.
Tottenham and Walthamstow area environment is a bit ridiculous, but you know that's what it is. So I think we both gotta learn from that and capitalize to what we believe is right, and you know try to boost our way of life and to get on with the day-to-day life. But the fact is, we believe, and this is what it is, what's going on the whole area, the other side. People believe Cambridge, Oxford, or other universities for those selected people. You can't reach there, you can't do other ways to get access to the university. I have a little one here. Today he announced, he said 100, how many? 100% you're gonna get it to Cambridge, yeah? Yeah. Good. So he said that's straight away, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I also do these talks. The main thing that I say is that for people that, for like you said, the most important thing, sir, is that you boost your way of living, your standards of living, the opportunities around you. And Cambridge is not the only way to do that, right? So even though it's very possible, and I absolutely encourage you to apply and go through it, and that your son could, of course, attend university, there are other universities that are just as good. There are other opportunities that you need to take advantage of. Like, for example, I had friends who were doing very well, much better than I was, all the way through school, and their parents also wanted them to go to Cambridge and Oxford, and they kind of put that pressure on them, you know, at certain points in their academic kind of life, and they just thought, you know, if they don't go to Oxford or Cambridge, you know, to their parents, they would have failed, which is obviously absolutely not true. You know, there are other great universities, and it's all about, you know, like you said, boosting those opportunities and believing that they're there, which they absolutely are.
So I'm a computer engineer. That is a great decision.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of questions.
Great.
My first question would be, if when you are deciding to enter Cambridge, do you have, if you didn't get it, do you come in free, or do you have to pay for it?
So that's a really good question, yeah. Like, I had a lot of money worries, like, where I was my friends don't earn much, and so I was thinking, do I have to pay for all this? So the first thing to know is, at university there are two things that have to be paid for. There's the teaching, and there's sort of food, your house where you can live. The teaching, so that's covered by the government. You can get a loan. It's a really good loan compared to what you might get from a bank. You don't have to repay it until after university when you're earning a lot of money. And it's only a small bit of your salary each month that goes to it. So you don't have to worry about the teaching thing. From the sort of maintenance, which is living and eating and stuff like that. Again, that can be covered by the government, and that's dependent on how much money your parents make. So if the parents make less money, you get more money at university. So in my case, because of my parents' income, I got quite good loans from the government and also grants, which when I get them, that means they don't have to be repaid. And that's quite important. There's loans have to be repaid, grants don't. So because of the amount of money I got, I'm in this weird situation where I'm richer when I'm in Cambridge than when I'm at home. and another thing about the university is it's a really wealthy university. And that doesn't mean that they're stingy with their money. They want you to be able to just work and enjoy your life in Cambridge. So if you have money worries, the university is willing to just give you money. You just have to ask, and they will give it. Getting free stuff is quite normal. Yeah, don't worry about money.
That's the point for the parents though. Wherever your kids are going to go, or if they're looking to go to university, wherever they're going to go, there will be grants and stuff available, and I would highly recommend just do a bit of research online, call up the universities or whatever, and just try and find anything you can. And they're very rarely kind of mutually exclusive where you can only have one, and you can get multiple at the same time. And yeah, they'd help so much, and it just kind of alleviates so many worries that you might have about your kind of kids' financial, because they're going to be independent. They don't want to be relying on someone who might not have the money. Just look online or whatever, and you'll be able to find so much. So definitely do that.